Alright, VOD review. I'm not gonna lie, I got about 30 minutes into it and then my power went out, which corrupted the recording. So I'm going to try to do this even quicker than last time. I'm not even gonna go over my own team, which I normally do, so that you have some context on the goal of my team and everything. But yeah, power outage sucks. So I'm just gonna hop straight into the games. Dogzea didn't have much time to throw a team together, so I'm not going to criticize the actual team too much, but I do think that the key of this... I forgot to turn the music off. I do think the key of this was that he was lacking some tools that I think are very important, and I think would have made matchups a lot easier. Protect on Primarina is one thing. Or defensive Terra on Primarina, because it's kind of clunky and hard to position. And Rillaboom doesn't have Woodhammer, which is its strongest move and possibly its most important move. Maybe controversial opinion there, but what else? Clefairy didn't have After You, which is very important to taking on Trick Room. And Pelipper... if you're going to run Focus Sash, I recommend running full offense. Go Weather Ball over Chilling Water. 100 base power in the rain, which it automatically sets up. 100% accurate, great move to have on Pelipper. If you're not going to run Focus Sash, like go Rocky Helmet. Maybe the Chilling Water set is for you. But because and again, you're not supposed to be able to see EVs on team sheets. So next time you submit a team sheet, you can keep that in mind. I got some cheat information there that gave me a little bit of an edge. Because I knew that Pelipper with no special attack investment would not be able to knock out Rillaboom and Glimmora, which normally it does. So I could play a little bit looser there. Again, sorry if I'm going really fast here, but I'm not super happy with the power outage, so I'm just trying to, get it knocked out before my voice dies for talking for like 2 hours. So, yeah, I've got a pretty safe Trick Room and Woodhammer into the Primarina slot, because again, no defensive Terror, no Protect means that either Primarina dies, or whatever switches in eats a Miracle Seed, Grassy Terrain, Woodhammer, which nobody wants to do. Sorry about the Windows Update sound. The only one that could have swapped in and lived there, well, some of them could have lived. Like I think Arcanine Hisui and Pelipper probably live, but they probably take a huge chunk of damage. Hisui and Goodra is the only one that I think could switch in and tank that because it's quad resist. Oh, actually it has Sap Sipper, that's right. So it wouldn't take any damage, even though, quad resist, but... so yeah, you stop the trigger from going up, but Rillaboom doesn't really have any pressure here. Your Rillaboom, I'm talking, not my Rillaboom. Well, my Rillaboom can't do too much either, but the point is, like, without Woodhammer, you can't really threaten any damage into Porygon 2. You can threaten Leech Seed, which I think you end up doing, which is a good call, because Drain Punch isn't going to do too much to Porygon 2. And so, yeah, I mean, Hurricane comes out, KOs Rillaboom after the Woodhammer recoil. But this just means I get a switch in with Trick Room up. I think Ursaluna comes in and is slower than everything, so now you're in a bad spot. I think, yeah, losing Clefairy there really sucks. Because you know that once Trick Room's up and Ursaluna's out, this thing is slower than everything. And so having the Clefairy with the After You is actually like really important, because otherwise you're either gonna have to eat Ursaluna hit, which is never great because the thing hits like an absolute truck, or start sacking, which is never, well, it's a good option sometimes, but you don't want to sack 2 or 3 mons, right? It just doesn't make too much sense. And again, I'm gonna stress the importance of Protect. I know I'm like nitpicking right now, and maybe I'm being a little mean, but again, Not super happy with the power outage, but I really think that if you look at your team and you don't have at least 3 protects, you got to fix something, because it is so important to have that move. I can't stress enough. It makes your opponents double, like, think about just clicking into something like the Purina slot. It could potentially get you a free turn. It stalls out Tailwind and Trick Room and screens. It's just such an invaluable tool to have. Just the option of it sometimes will force actions from your opponent, so I really do recommend that. But in this scenario, like, I don't think you can do anything. Grassy Glide comes out, which is, the best option you have. Critical hit doesn't really matter because there's Limina still slower and is just going to nuke anything. Purina comes in, can't do much. Chilling Water doesn't pick up the KO. So yeah, that is the end of that. I didn't catch game 1 because I don't have the recording, so I apologize for that. And I apologize for skipping over. I went over a good bit of details in the first recording, and I don't remember what I said. So, but we'll get to see Dogzea's matches later, so I can analyze a little bit more on that. So I'm going to just hop into Aster's games. I was mainly worried about the Psy spam part of this team. The win condition for me was Volcarona, because I knew the snow Pokemon could not hit Volcarona at all, really. Especially if I could get Quiver Dances up. And I was wary of Samurott because that was the one thing that could KO my Volcarona very quickly because I can't boost my physical events. So, was looking out for it. Didn't come into play until game 3. But you're going to see me run the same thing every game. Volcarona, Glimmora, Rillaboom in the back for terrain control, and Ursaluna Blood Moon to come in once Trick Room comes up, or if it does come up. So, out of Trick Room, Volcarona runs the show. In Trick Room, Ursaluna Blood Moon, huge threat. Glimmora's there is kind of like a suicide lead, although I end up not using it very well in game 1, as you'll see in a sec. Glimmora threatens Oko or Defensive Terra onto Glaceon, Ninetales, Hatterene, and Armarouge. So, it just had a lot of offensive pressure. I think it might actually kill Samurott in one hit with Meteor Beam as well, but I'll have to run a calc on that later. I don't know what EVs she had, so. So, yeah. Indeedee, Ninetales, passive lead. I know Aurora Veil and Trick Room is probably going to come up, so I'm just going to click Quiver Dance because I know it's completely safe, and I get a Meteor Beam down into the Indeedee slot because I know that Ninetales is not threatening Volcarona at all, and I need to get rid of Indeedee because I don't want to have to deal with Follow Me next to Armarouge in Trick Room. So that's the scenario I'm avoiding. I end up missing, which is very unfortunate because I really need that chip down onto Indeedee, but this is Pokemon. This has happened. That's the consequence of running not 100% accurate moves. So from here, I really, and this is the thing with game 1, I really should let Glimmora go down to bring in Ursaluna. And if you are Astter, you should be looking to bring your hardest hitter in. Well, you don't have any setup, right? Yeah. So I would look to get your hardest hitter in immediately. I know you end up winning this game, so it sounds kind of weird being like, you should have done this, but you'll see what happens in game 2 and 3 that change that end up affecting the way the games go. So there, I spiky shield. My thought process is to stall out the trick room, but I realized in game 2 that Ursaluna, I needed to be in with the trick room, right? Like, if it's out of the trick room, the pressure it puts out is still very large, but it goes down by a lot because you can just target down that slot. So I really should have let Gamora go down here. Like, it's gonna die anyway to Psychic right here, unless I Terra Grass, and I really don't want to use the Terra for it. So this ends up being the difference maker, actually, because I think Ursaluna ends up coming in after, like, the turn the Trick Room comes out. So good on Astter to switch the Armor to get the pressure down immediately. You can see Expanding Force is not doing that much. And this is maybe why I would consider running a Helping Hand on Ndidi. I don't actually remember what you have on it. Psychic, Follow Me, Trick Room, Protect. Yeah, I would consider running... Helping Hand or Protect are fine. I think Helping Hand makes a lot of sense on your team because you can get Helping Hand boosted Blizzards or Dazzling Gleams or Expanding Forces. But Protect's, Protect's a great move. So I think personally I would run the Helping Hand, but great Protect there, as I am trashing on that choice for no reason at all, so make me eat my words there. So yeah, I'm in a bad spot now. Like, Ursaluna is basically not, it's not dead weight, but it's really not going to put out as much pressure as I need it to, because the main thing is I can't hit Armor very hard with Volcarona Rillaboom because resistances and Flash Fire. So I needed Ursaluna to either KO Armor or put a huge chunk into it. So here I'm predicting the switch out. I think Armor is going to Protect, yeah. So we get Giga Drain down and Taunt, which I don't know why I decided to Taunt over Woodhammer, because whatever comes in, I don't really care if it's taunted. Like, if it's Glaceon, if it's Ninetales, I don't really mind. Well, yeah, I don't mind if it's taunted. So that's another misplay that happened there that cost me, actually. Well, no, it doesn't cost. I still end up losing in the end because of the confusion. But I think they played pretty well with the Armorers once it came out. Like, I think they attacked on the turns they needed to, had a good Protect on the turn that I attacked. So good on them. I don't know the... Excuse me. Sorry about that. I'm not sure why I decided to go for another Quiver Dance here, but this ends up costing me because Alluring Voice gets the confusion down, and then I hit myself twice and die. So, very smart move by me, but yeah, we ended up talking about this. I think there was a misunderstanding on how Alluring Voice works. Alluring Voice confuses 100% of the time if the target has raised their stats this turn. It is not if it has stat boosts. So Astter clicked it thinking it worked because I already had stat boost, but it ended up working anyway because I clicked Quiver Dance. So that is how the move works, so now we know. That's funny. Like, I think that misunderstanding of how the move works actually ends up saving them this game, because I think in no other scenario would you ever click Alluring Voice into the 2.5x Special Defense Volcarona that was then 3x, but because it ends up confusing, because of the misunderstanding, it ends up winning the game. So sometimes, I think she said it, luck is a skill, which I think is a funny way to word it, but the way that I word it is sometimes you'd rather be lucky than good, right? So, game 2, same game plan for me. I was not dissatisfied with my game plan. I just thought I played the Glamora and the Ursaluna part pretty poorly. I wasn't thinking too bad about the endgame, although in hindsight I did mess up by not clicking the Woodhammer and going for the 3rd or 4th Quiver Dance. I can't remember which one. And if you're Astter, I think... Personally, I think you won game 1, and normally my advice is if you win the game, you're probably doing all right, and you don't need to adapt too much. But in that scenario where it came down to the wire, and it came down to confusion RNG, I would definitely consider swapping some things around. I don't think you have to swap too much. I think indeed armor always comes here. Ninetales is a nice option to slow things down, so that's totally fine. But I do think Samurott is really important here, and that's something that you can consider in team preview, which is that you don't really have many ways to hit Volcarona, especially once it has Quiver Dance up. So being able to recognize that and being like, okay, if this thing gets Quiver Dances up, I need to have Samurott available. Because if I don't have Samurott available and it has 3x special defense, I do not have a way to kill this thing, right? So she ends up bringing Samurott to game 3, which we will talk about later. But yeah, you can see the same thing, same game plan. Quiver Dance. Glamora tries to get damage into Indeedee and misses again. And here is the moment where I'm like, okay, actually I need to let Glamora go down here. And this ends up being the difference maker. So Glamora goes down. We get another Quiver Dance up. I mainly do this because, yes, I'm not under any threat, but the special defense boosts in particular are very important to lower that expanding force damage. And now Ursaluna comes in under Trick Room. I end up going for double protect to scout for any protects or defensive tears on their end. And so they end up going for Protect Expanding Force. And turn 4 is the turning point where I think things could have been a little bit... Well, it could have been different for sure, I think. And you'll see in a second. But basically, when I double Protect here, I'm scouting for Protect or Defensive Terra, and neither of them happen for Armories, which is the main focus right now. So you, Astter, have the option to do either of them, and I think because the obvious play here is for me to go for Earth Power into Armors to knock it out. So I think, you could do Follow Me, you could do Protect, you could do Terra Grass. All 3 of those things I think would have been really good because it stops me from KOing Armors, and then we get another turn off. And then you can stall out your own Trick Room, and then Ursaluna can't outrun everything and kill it all. But I think all of those options don't happen, and our Rouge goes down. So, excuse me. So yeah, I hit Quiver Dance again because I guess I shouldn't have. I should have gotten damage into Indeedee that turn. Yeah. But anyway, Glaceon comes in. Trick Room is still up, so Ursaluna's moving first. And I go immediately to Blood Moon the Glaceon and to get rid of it because I do not want to deal with Snow Cloak Bright Powder. And Ursaluna has Mind's Eye, which makes it never miss. That's why I end up going for it. Good Follow Me to redirect that, but the Heat Wave ends up connecting. even if Heat Wave misses there, I think we're still in a fine spot because the snow runs out, Volcarona is set up, Trick Room is out. So in the end game, like, how are you going to deal with Volcarona realistically? So, and yeah, so that is the game here. Here we're looking at the mechanics of Alluring Voice because I wanted to make sure I wasn't feeding her misinformation. Game 3, same game plan. I am happy with the game plan I've been running, even though I lost game 1. Game 3, Astter, I think, realized that the Glaceon was not bringing much to the table, so she brings Samurott, which I think is 100% the right call. I think if I'm in her position, that's the 4 that I bring. DD, Ninetales, Armors, Samurott. Maybe in some other combination, but that is the way. And on the other hand, I think she's playing the leads very well, actually. Like, normally you wouldn't think to combine the Trick Room and the Snow on the first turn. But if you know I'm playing really passively with Volcarona, that does mean you get Aurora Veil and Trick Room up for free. So, I don't hate the lead, honestly. I think it's pretty solid. You set yourself up to play through your Armors, which I think is your best shot. And you still have the Samurott to fall back on to deal with Volcarona. So I think honestly the lead is total. It makes so much sense once you have Samurott on the team. So now we get into the real meat, which is because Samurott is out, there is a real threat on Volcarona because Aqua Cutter will 100% kill it. So I am forced to Terra Water here every time, or I can Protect. Either one of those. End up going for Protect. And then we switch in Glamora, we switch in Rillaboom. This gives me a defensive option with Terra Water Volcarona so that Aqua Cutter doesn't kill it, and it gives me offensive pressure so that Rillaboom can just one-shot Samurott if it doesn't do anything. And I'm pretty sure that Indeedee will die from this range, so if it tries to follow me, the Woodhammer, then it goes down and I'm sitting pretty. But I think she ends up switching it out to try and get terrain control, and I am happy to click Woodhammer into the Samurott slot. And another thing, Grassy Terrain being up is really nice for Volcarona because Grassy Terrain plus the leftovers plus the special defense boosts makes it really hard to take down. Good Protect here, you get your Armors in safely. Not too much threat going out from Volcarona right now, but you know in the end game it's going to be a problem. So this one, because Samurott is in play, I am playing a lot differently, right? Like, I can't bring in Ursaluna all the time. I don't know. Yeah, okay, so I'm hard calling a switch here, which she ends up not going for. And the Ceaseless Edge, honestly, not a bad choice. You get huge damage into the Volcarona. I was hard calling Samurott switching out for Indeedee, but it ends up being Armors. This actually is a pretty cool play from here because you switch out Armors, save its HP, Samurott gets damage down, you get the terrain control, and now Armors comes in. So I think that was a really cool play actually, and I like that a lot actually. We are out of Trick Room now, so yeah, Volcarona's going to be swinging pretty hard now. And the taunt here means that Indeedee can no longer set up Trick Room, so that ends up being pretty important because that means that my Glamora, which I ended up saving this game, which I don't normally do, is going to outspeed everything. And here, I realized I wanted to get some damage in while Ndidi couldn't protect or follow me. So I get to get a hit into armors. The crit, chunking it down helps, but because she Terra Grasped, Glamora is now free to Sludge Bomb into that slot. I almost Earth Power because I forgot it Terra'd, but I end up backing out and realizing the mistake. And even if Armors protects the Sludge Bomb, if it hits into Protect, then Armors is not expanding force, and Ninetales is not picking up a KO on Glamora anytime soon. So this makes a lot of sense. Get your health back. Not taking too much damage. Sludge Bomb takes down Armors. Ninetales can't win in the end game, unfortunately. So, yeah, honestly, like I said, I think you played the leads right. I definitely think Samurott was the thing to bring, and it was just a matter of protecting it a little bit better, whether it be with your Terra, which I think you were on Terra Water, and I do think that you should change that eventually to Grass or some other defensive Terra. So yeah, I think you had the tools to win. It may seem like maybe it was a tough matchup, especially because Volcarona looked really hard to take down, but the key was playing through your 1-out to Volcarona, which was the Samurott. So I think if you can play with the Samurott a little bit better, then I think that set maybe turns around and turns into a 2-1 for your favor. So we'll talk about changing your Terra types on your team later, because I think, once again, I think Terra is the mechanic of this generation, and you need to be able to utilize it, and it is absolutely game-changing. So being able to turn a weakness to a resistance is absolutely insane. And for the Pokemon that can run it, being able to boost your damage even further is very nice. But sometimes, that little boost usually doesn't matter compared to the defensive benefits of it. So, yeah, that's it for that one. And now we're going to me versus Silver. Once again, I thought Trick Room was the best answer I had into this team. I think Amoonguss, Ursaluna Bloodmoon, and Porygon 2 are all slower than everything that he has, I believe. I believe Porygon 2 and Ampharos might tie in speed, but other than that, Trick Room was my answer. Ursaluna was my win condition, and Glamora was there to Suicide Lead again. The idea was that I really needed Glamora to... If I saw Incineroar or Dragonite, I needed to nuke them off the field if possible. I also... Well, Dragonite not so much. I think Incineroar is actually very annoying for my team because Amoonguss is completely useless against it. So if I can remove the Incineroar, Rage Powder and Spore coming online is a big deal. And so the other part of it is the rain part, Pelipper and Greninja. I do want to get rid of those because those are threats to Ursaluna Bloodmoon. They would force it to Terra, which I don't always want to do. So here I'm targeting down the Pelipper slot. I'm making sure it doesn't have Protect, which, again, we can go over the sets a little bit here. I think a lot of these sets make perfect sense to me. It's just, some of these are shells from Reg G stuff, and things have changed. And I don't expect you to know this immediately. This is little minute knowledge and optimization, but I really do think it is something that will go a long way once you make the changes. So the first thing is Pelipper wide guard. Absolutely necessary. Broken move in Reg G. Not super. It's not as important in Reg H. I'm not gonna say it's bad in Reg H, but the amount of spread moves has gone down. Like, the main one to block is Make It Rain from Goldango. You can also block Expanding Force. Hyper Voice, but that's usually not too much of an issue except from Ursaluna. I'm probably missing some huge ones here. My point is that the wide guard is actually not as important this format as Protect is, in my opinion. And I think because, you have the option open because the items, you can actually go Focus Sash on Pelipper. Like, you can do Focus Sash, full offense, like max special attack, max speed, go Modest Nature, and then your Pelipper is hitting like a truck. Like, the thing does so much damage, actually. And you don't have to worry about it going down too much, especially if you have Protect, because Focus Sash and Protect makes it really nice, because to beat Focus Sash mons, you can double into it, especially if it's a slower Pokemon like Pelipper. But having the Protect threatens that, because if you double into a Protect, you just lost your turn there, right? So, I think that's a huge adjustment for Pelipper. I know you've already been liking it, but you may find you might want to try that and see if it works even better for you. Incineroar, definitely change the Terra type. Probably Ghost or Water or Grass, or actually Water. Like, Ghost or Water are definitely the way to go. Everything else is fine. I know Flare Blitz is a little bit weird under the rain, but I think it's fine. If you want to swap that for Taunt and run a little bit more speed into Incineroar, that's totally fine too. And if you have questions on that, just give me a DM or something and I'd be happy to explain it. I've been a little bit more of a fan of faster Incineroar plus Taunt this format, so Whimsicott having Misty Terrain I think is a fine thing to have because you don't have many Amoonguss answers, so it's good for that. Terrain control over Rillaboom and Psychic Terrain is totally fine. I talked to you about trying Dragon Dance Dragonite, so definitely give that a shot, see how you like it. Ampharos, that's totally fine. It's probably the set I would run as well. And Greninja, the only thing I would say is definitely change the ability. I think Torrent is not as useful unless you're running Focus Sash Greninja, and then you become a little bit less consistent with the damage, but definitely try the other ability. I think it's called Protein or Protein, however you want to pronounce it, but that is the thing to go for. So in this scenario, Meteor Beam Pelipper is 100% safe because, again, there's no Protect, there's no Defensive Terra. Although, realistically, what Defensive Terra is going to help here? Like, I think Pelipper dies to Meteor Beam 100% of the time here if it doesn't have Protect or Focus Sash. So, and this right here is just knowledge thing. Wide Guard only works on spread moves, and Glamora and Porygon 2 do not have a spread move. So, I know you're still learning the game, so I don't blame you for not knowing that 100%. But, you learn the lesson here. None of the moves that they have are spread moves, so you can go on to the next games and learn from that. So, sorry, I didn't mean to rewind there. So, there is I actually was thinking about this when I saw this Thunder. I think technically Meteor Beam plus Thunder might kill Porygon 2. So I think I'm probably clicking Meteor Beam there instead of Thunder. Yeah, I think it kills. Meteor Beam plus Thunder kills Porygon 2 there. Well, yeah, I probably would do it anyway. I was gonna say maybe you're saving the Meteor Beam for a possible Volcarona, but I think you've got other ways to deal with Volcarona, so it makes sense to just go for that special attack boost, get it up. Incineroar coming in is pretty solid here. Lamara has already Meteor Beam, so the only threat to it is Earth Power, which isn't going to one-hit KO it, but you can get a Fake Out down, let Ampharos swing again. And again, this is where I think that Meteor Beam plus Thunder comes into play, because Ampharos is going to get another turn here, and I think if it's Meteor Beam plus Thunder, you get a KO. I would. Oh, it's tough. I would say be careful about that turn because Glamar has Spiky Shield, which if you don't know is Protect, but if you use a physical attack on it, like an attack that makes contact, then you hurt whoever attacked the Spiky Shield. So it is Protect, and I was saying you might want to be careful with that. I would probably do Fake Out into Lamara. I like that still. But then target down the Porygon 2. Because that covers for if he Spiky Shields. If I Spiky Shield with Lamara, then you're not double attacking into the Protect. And using Fake Out like this is something that people misconstrue as a negative, which is that, oh no, I Fake Outed into a Protect, I've wasted my turn, but you have to turn the perspective around and think that Fake Out is going to stop them from moving and get a little bit of chip damage, or if they Protect it, they're still not attacking you, so it's still locking the slot down no matter what option they choose. So Fake Out there is totally fine, even if it hits the Spiky Shield, but I think if you'd done Meteor Beam plus Thunder into Porygon 2, that would have knocked it out. Or at least come pretty dang close to it, and you would have had a lot more of a chance here, I think. The knockoff here is really good. That is a super good play. Porygon 2 thrives completely on its Eviolite item. Well, not completely, but the Eviolite gives, if you don't know, what it does is if you're a Pokemon that can evolve, you can hold the Eviolite and it boosts your defenses by a huge amount. So by knocking it off, you turn that Pokemon, which is normally insanely bulky, into a normal Pokemon. So that ends up coming into play in a little bit because your Ampharos at +1 plus Terra Electric ends up pretty much OHKOing the Porygon 2. Because I click Recover here and then just die to Thunder anyway. I go for Hyper Voice here, expecting a Protect from Ampharos, because Earth Power definitely would have just KO'd. But you end up being very brave and hitting the Thunder anyway, which I respect. You know you're behind, you gotta take some risks for sure. But here, Trick Room's still up. I have one more turn left. And Ursulin is still slower, Amogus is still slower, so yeah, that's it pretty much. Honestly, I think you played the Incineroar as well as you could have. Honestly, you played the Incineroar exactly how I think you should have. It's mainly Pelipper not having Protect and Focus Sash, I think really changes things there. And that's kind of why, like, I really don't love nitpicking little choices on people's Pokemon, because I know it's, one of the great parts about Pokemon is that you can be creative and use your own sets and do your own things. But if you're doing things that take away tools that, like, if you're making choices that are actively avoiding tools that you could be using that are better into the meta or into like strong Pokemon, then I don't see why you shouldn't make things easier for yourself, right? Like, give yourself more of a chance by having all the tools that you need. That's my personal thought process on that, but you're free to play the game you wish. I just think that personally, I want to win, so I like having all the good tools that I can bring to the table. Because if there's one thing I really don't like, it's having a matchup where I just feel helpless in because I don't have the moves or the items or the Pokemon to deal with it. So, because that, I think, to me personally, that's like, oh, I've actually just completely made a mistake in team building and I need to go back to the drawing board. So here, Whimsicott, Dragonite. So yeah, the thing here is that, like, when you see Porygon 2, even in Team Preview, like, if you see Porygon 2, you can kind of think, like, okay, Trick Room is an option here that I need to be very wary of. And so bringing Whimsicott is kind of rough, because I think, it still does things outside of Tailwind. It still has terrain control and Moonblast. But realistically, Moonblast is not hitting anything very hard. Like, Glimmora, Volcarona, and Amoonguss all resist it. And the Misty Terrain is, it's nice that you can take away the terrain from Rillaboom and you can stop Amoonguss from sporing. But, after you take the terrain control away, after you stop the spore, what is Whimsicott doing, right? Like, I think, to me, it's in a spot where you look at the team preview and you're like, okay, is Whimsicott actually going to be able to put on any pressure? Or is it going to be in a spot where I think it can't really do anything? After, it's one good thing of Misty Terrain or whatever. So, I think if you're going up against a Trick Room setter like this that doesn't have much protection, it just relies on its natural bulk, you either need to have, like, Taunt Incineroar would have been nice, or you just need to absolutely nuke it. Like, I think, well, Outrage you can't really target. I was going to say Outrage, but because Outrage is Dragonite's strongest move, but I think you went for its next strongest option, but it does burn your Terra, so. Yeah, and here I'm really targeting down the Dragonite because it doesn't have Protect because it's Choice Band Dragonite, and I'm not super scared of Whimsicott. So, I'm trying to think what it would, like, I would have tried Incineroar Ampharos, maybe? It's really hard because Ampharos being Terra, well, it probably doesn't matter. I think Incineroar Ampharos still makes sense to me. You can fake out the, maybe Incineroar Dragonite. It's hard to call. I think Incineroar lead is really nice here because you can fake up Porygon 2 and stop Trick Room up. But the thing is, you need to be able to KO Glimmora and then be able to stop Porygon 2 next turn, which I don't think is possible, except with some very specific targeting with, like, if my Glimmora protects instead of attacking. So I think Incineroar plus either Ampharos or Dragonite, either it forces me to do certain things and at least gives you a chance at stopping the Trick Room from going up. Because at your core, your team is a hyper offense team. And what that means is that if you lose the speed control with hyper offense, it is very, very rough to recover. Because normally you don't have tools to really stall out Trick Room and stuff. So yeah, honestly, the more I think about it, I would really consider putting Taunt on Incineroar over Flare Blitz. Run a little bit more speed, get the Taunt down, and what that lets you do is you can Taunt Amoonguss, and you're already immune to Spore because of safety goggles, so you could even switch into a Spore, Taunt Amoonguss. You could Taunt Trick Room users like Porygon 2 and DD. You could taunt other Incineroar. If you're running a little bit more speed, you can be faster than other Incineroar and stop them from doing Parting Shot. There's just a lot of things that I think Taunt Incineroar feels better and better to me the more that I think about it. And it's mainly because usually Incineroar doesn't need both its fire and its dark attack. So that is my advice for that one. I think your team itself is pretty solid. It just needs a little bit of tweaking with the sets and such. And I think if the sets are different, you at least give yourself some opportunities, I think, right? Give yourself some tools that you can use to win there. So yeah, the rest of this is not anything. So I'm going to go to Dogzea's replays now. We have him versus Silver and him versus Astter. I have not seen these games at all, so this is going to be good for me to look at. Okay. Pelipper, Ampharos versus Primarina and Clefairy. Let me think about team preview, what I would be thinking of. So if I'm Dogzea, I'm definitely trying to play through Hisuian Gudra because I think, let me double check here. Yeah, I don't actually think that Hisuian Gudra is in danger of literally anything on that team, on Silver's team, except stopping Tantrum from Dragonite, and that is not going to do much if you can get a acid armor up, and especially next to Clefairy. So if I'm Dogzea, I'm looking to play through Hisuian Gudra. Clefairy, definitely nice there. Rillaboom, also very nice there. And then I'm probably, the Primarina Bring makes sense here. It is in danger of the Ampharos, but everything else makes sense. Again, this is probably would change if you had Protect or Terra Grass or something, but I like it here. You switch into the Hisuian Gudra. Wide Guard to block Hyper Voice. Okay, that makes sense. I could see it. Yeah, I would definitely get in the habit of clicking Meteor Beam first. You may as well, it almost does as much damage as Thunder, unless you Terra Electric. So getting that special attack boost up first is pretty nice. In this scenario, it doesn't matter that much, because, again, your team kind of doesn't have a way to hit this thing. Oh, that's actually big. Yeah, getting the paralysis down there is absolutely huge. Nice. I like this actually. Target down the Clefairy slot. Because you know Life Dew is a thing, so you need to get rid of this. And on Dogzea's end, I think this is the right call. You know you have safe acid armors. I don't... you Volt Switch out, which keeps Ampharos safe, but you lose a special attack boost. Greninja comes in and dies instantly. It's probably okay. Yeah, well played. Fake out into Incineroar because the Rillaboom is faster. Yeah, that's really good actually. Like, getting in, well, yeah. There's no danger really to Goodra right now, so you can go for another acid armor. Actually, what's the set on this thing? Dragon Tail, Iron Head, Acid Armor, Body Press. I like Acid Armor, Body Press. Doesn't it? Wait, hold on. I think it gets something better. Let me see here. I thought it had like a signature move or something. Okay, I guess I'm wrong. I thought it had some sort of signature move that was better, but I guess I'm just wrong. Oh, it has Shelter instead of Acid Armor. Yeah, that doesn't matter. I would... I would consider running... The thing with suing Goodra is I think it's actually a really cool call in this meta. I actually really like the Sap Sipper Acid Armor Body Press set you have. The only danger is ghost types, especially Mr. Goldango. Even if he had Iron Head, like, Goldango would just be so immune to it. And I know Goldango can't like one-shot you, but it can pretty safely nasty plot in front of that. So I'm thinking you might want to have something on your team that can deal with Goldango, like maybe a King Gambit makes sense here. Like you could, yeah, you could. You have an angle here to have King Gambit plus Trick Room, maybe? King Gambit deals with Goldango really well. Goldango can't really hit King Gambit at all. And Defiant really helps out Rillaboom, which I think is a good choice for the team. Like, I actually really like the Clefairy, Goodra, Rillaboom part of it. The other three slots, Pelipper is fine too, but I think you could consider trying King Gambit, maybe a Trick Room mode to the team. That might be pretty cool. That burn is crazy, actually. Wait, is this the game that goes down to the wire? How does this even... Because in my head, I'm like, Gudra absolutely sweeps here, but nice protect. Parting shot. This is getting real weird. Okay, the fake out makes sense. Empress takes a little more damage because, yeah, wow, this is, I mean, it's not good because, yeah, I think you don't have too much pressure. Another acid armor I think is getting greedy, but you're not in that much danger of it. Ampharos, nice. Wide guard doesn't do too much here. Wow, the paralysis here is crazy. Okay, so the last turn you definitely go for Hurricane over Weather Ball for this exact reason, to try and get the confusion. But it you ends up getting it anyway. Yeah, that could have been close. I mean, it was very close, honestly. Honestly, for Silver's end, I think he played as well as he can. I think this Gudra is actually just like such a big problem for this team. I really don't know how you deal with this. Like, I think your best option literally is Stomping Tantrum, but it's really not a sustainable answer. So that is something to think about for Silver. You know, you don't have to prep specifically for Hisuian Gudra, but you might want to think about having something like Taunt, maybe, to stop it from using Acid Armor, or Haze is really nice right now. Trying to think what else could be useful. Yeah, I mean, Dragon Dance could also work because you can actually set up, as long as you can stop Gudra from getting a billion acid armors down. Because Gudra's not really threatening Dragonite, except with Dragon Tail, which you're not going to see ever, really. So, if you need help with that one, give me a ring. I think it might be a team building thing. We might have to swap some things around, but I know you're pretty happy with the team right now, so we'll see, we'll see. Okay, so Arcanine is Sui. Extreme Speed, Tailwind. I would say, what's his Arcanine? Terra Grass. Okay. And your Dragonite is Terra Normal. You do have Tailwind plus Stomping Tantrum into Arcanine, which KOs it. But the danger there is the Follow Me or the Terra Grass. So I'm trying to think here. Honestly, I think what you did was fine. Like, getting Clefairy off the field would be pretty big. You could consider Terra Normal here so Head Smash doesn't kill you like this. Yeah, Incineroar, I like that. Fake out. I would consider parting shots onto the Arcanine slot, because what that does is it basically makes it so that if he switches in, because you know he kind of wants to switch Arcanine out because of the attack drop. So what that means is whatever comes in, let's say it's Rillaboom or Gudra or whatever, you can parting shot that slot, and then you get to switch out and reactively switch in whatever you want. Because I think the fake out here is not doing too much. Maybe Clefairy is going to Life Dew or Thunder Wave, but I think doing that parting shot would have been really good. And I think using pivot moves is really tricky because I think they're really versatile, but if you can learn to use that full potential of the parting shot or the U-turn, you can eventually see it's so good. It's such a broken mechanic, really. Okay. That is not doing as much as I would have assumed it would do. I know Dogzea. Well, okay. No, because Friend Guard is up. That makes sense. Also, wait. Incineroar is faster than Rillaboom? That is not normal. I know Dogzea is running 0 speed on his... here, let me try and pull up the team sheet. I know Dogzea is running no speed investment on his Rillaboom. Yeah. So you must be running speed on your Incineroar. So yeah, if you're running speed already, I would definitely recommend swapping the taunt on there. Because that's not normal. Normally Incineroar is slower than Rillaboom. Yeah, this is rough. Like, yeah, I like that there. I think you recognize that you need to get rid of this Clefairy, but it might be too little too late. Okay, yeah. The fake out there makes sense to protect your Ampharos, even if it didn't do much there. But yeah, I think unfortunately Whimsicott just cannot do too much here. And this is the thing that I was talking about with you yesterday after the games, where I think Tailwind right now is not very good. And if you are going to run Tailwind, then I think you need to run specific Pokemon to take advantage of it. Because in the past, there were so many Pokemon that could take advantage of Tailwind that it was a really strong archetype. But in this format, the speed tiers are so low that I actually don't love Tailwind. It's so weird to say, but there's so many good, slower, bulky options that I think are just better than the Pokemon that can take advantage of Tailwind. So that's something to think about. Because, even if you get Tailwind up, you gotta have Pokemon that will just absolutely nuke things and take advantage of that speed control. So something to think about. honestly, the first game I think he played very well, and the second game I think it shows like some. It's not even experience. I just think that the matchup here is really bad. Like, I think having the taunt on Incineroar is going to be a game changer for you. And if you ever do want to change any of the mons, then let me know, and I'll definitely help out with that. But again, I do know you said you're really happy with your team, so if not, we can try and figure out ways to make it work. See if that taunt becomes the game changer or not. But regardless, very well played on the game one. I think that was really good. So Dogzea versus Astter, Pelipper, Clefairy. This is really funny because both of these leads are extremely passive. Rain overriding the snow is pretty funny. Okay, actually, I do need to talk about this part. It's really dangerous to raw switch here. Because if Dogzea was running normal Pelipper and had Weather Balled into the slot, which is not uncommon, like I could totally see that, Armor just goes down immediately. So I think maybe a better option could be, and I know you have to raw switch with this team because you don't have a pivot and you need to be able to position to take advantage of your Trick Room and your screen turns. So I think a really good option could have been Protect Ninetales, Trick Room with Indeedee. Next turn you can switch Ninetales for Armorage and Follow Me, and that's a really safe switch there. Because this right here could have been really disastrous. Terra Grass here. Yeah, that makes sense. If I'm Dogzea, I definitely think about doing Hurricane on an Armorage. Because I think Hurricane will knock it out if you're the normal special attack invested one. Even if it doesn't Terra. And if it does Terra, you cover for that option. Dazzling Gleam. You know what? That actually did more damage than I thought. Yeah, I guess it's fine. I don't love the Armorage Protect here. I would have liked to just see an attack. Like, I don't think you're in that much danger. If you're running minimum speed Armorage. Wow. Hold on. Let me double check. Yeah, so if you're running minimum speed Armorage, it will underspeed Pelipper, unless the Pelipper is running minimum speed as well, which Pelipper almost never does. I'm not going to say almost, it just never does. So, Armorage, and this Clefairy doesn't have After You. So, I would have loved to just see a, whatchamacallit, Expanding Force there. It feels pretty safe. Dogzea doesn't have Wide Guard, so feels fine there. You do get the Aurora Veil up. So this is something that I would I think if you're gonna be raw switching our version like this, you should really be covering for it with Follow Me. Like, I don't. Ndidi's not in any danger going down here, so I don't really see the need to protect it. And in general, Ndidi doesn't love staying on the field too long. Like, it's really there to get the terrain up and Follow Me or Helping Hand. So I don't love keeping it on the field too long because I feel like it doesn't provide too much pressure. This protect is pretty nice. Actually, a really good turn right here. The protect plus the trigger. So you should have speed advantage here. Great Follow Me. Oh, there's no terrain. Did it run out? When did it run out? It ran out here. Yeah. I think you you probably need the Scorching Sands to Gudra. Like, you don't really have another way of getting rid of this thing. Well, Glaceon Blizzard could do it, I guess. Actually, don't know how much Glaceon Blizzard does. Freeze Dry really. Wait, what did she target down with Freeze Dry there? Hold on. Oh, I thought Primarina switched. It just teared. Okay, yeah. This is another scenario. If your modest 252 would have knocked out the Glacia. I know I don't like nitpicking like that, but there's so many scenarios that are like, oh, this developer could be picking up all these KOs. Wait, you do have Focus Sash. Okay, so that is a team sheet error for sure. Oh, no. Okay, never mind. I'm really stupid. I was thinking of Silver's Pelipper. Yeah, I'm getting them mixed up. It's really funny because Dogzea has the Protect and the Focus Sash that I would love to see on Silver's, but he has all of the bulk that I don't want to see, and Silver's has all of the offense I want to see, but none of the Focus Sash that I would like. Anyway, the freeze here is crazy. I'm just gonna say that, but if you're Dogzea, I definitely think you should bring Arcanine Hisui. It looks really solid here. Trying to think. Primarina is not too bad. I would say Arcanine Hisui and Gudra, Rillaboom, Clefairy looks really good to me. Wait, if Astter won that, then I don't have all of the games. Because he only sent me 2 replays. Okay, wait, sorry, let me... Clefairy, Primarina, Ninetales, and Ndidi. Passive start again. Pelipper denies Aurora Veil. Trick Room goes up. Ninetales goes down. Okay, so what do we do about this? Normally I would say you could do the follow me plus 9 or trick room, protect, 9 tails, and then follow me switch out. But hyper voice actually kills armorers here, so I think you actually do sack the 9 tails, let it go down, bring in armorers here. I like this here. What is happening? There's so many terrain and weather switches that in trick room. I'm having a hard time thinking about all this. Okay, so rain is up, psychic terrain and trick room is up. So armorers, Clefairy moves first, then armorers, then Pelipper, then Indeedee, I think, unless Indeedee is minimum speed. So we switch Glaceon in. This is a weird switch to me. I would have loved to see Follow Me or Helping Hand if you had it. Actually, no. When did you Terra? Turn 1? This turn makes sense. Oh, I see. You Terra Grass to get away from the Primarina. Let me double check my speed tiers here. Indeedee, minimum speed is slower than Pelipper. Okay, so if you're running minimum speed in Indeedee, which I don't know if you are, what you could do is do Psychic onto Pelipper and Expanding Force. Yeah, you could Terra Grass Armorers and then do Expanding Force plus Psychic onto Pelipper. What this does is it covers for Hyper Voice, because armors will live it. Oh no, wait, Indeedee is faster than Primarina. Yeah, that's tough. The Terra Grass here makes sense. I think honestly if you had Helping Hand I would have tried it here. Glaceon is fine here, I think if you're sacking. Super good read on the Hurricane here. That's actually crazy that he went for Hurricane and not Hyper Voice here. Because you could have done a pin here with Primarina goes for Hyper Voice plus Hurricane onto the armor slot and it covers for Terra and not Terra. And I don't think you're in danger of getting one shot by Expanding Force. But he just gets a super hard read and hits the Hurricane kill. Confusion. Yeah, just... What's he doing here? Like... Oh. Interesting. Oh, it's so rough to watch Glaceon just fucking hit itself twice. Yeah, there's not much you can do here. Pelipper did so much work here. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't really have much to say on that one. I think Dogzea had played really well and just hit... Like, the hard read there was crazy, but... It's kind of the downfall of the side spam archetype, especially when you're running it with a snow team. Like, it's very hard to position your team. If the two parts don't have much to do with each other. Like, obviously you want screens plus trick room is the goal, but raw switching the armor regen even with screens up is really tough, and keeping the Ninetales on the field doesn't make much sense in a lot of matchups, like the Volcarona one that happened, or the Hisuian Gudra. So I'm trying to think. There's got to be, if you do want to run this snow plus trick room thing, there's got to be some glue, I think. Like, maybe you take out Hatterene and put like a pivot in? Something with U-turn or parting shot, or... It's hard to say. I think Final Gambit Annihilate would be really funny here, but I know you don't want to use that, so... Yeah, it's hard to say. You did win game 1 in a spot where I didn't think you would be able to get through the Gudra, but the Snow team pulled through. And I'm not saying that Snow and Trick Room can't coexist on the same team. A very common archetype used to be 2-2-2, which was duos that worked really well together, and they were just completely separate of one another, but they still worked. And it was Fluttermane Chiyu, Dragonite Chien-Pao, and Dogzea Tatsugiri. And it just worked because the duos had so much power. It's obviously you 100% know what's coming when you face that team, but yeah, I mean, you can make it work, but it's tough. You gotta learn how to do it. So yeah, that is the end of the games that I have replays for. I don't have game 3, unfortunately. I don't know if there was a mistake there, but Astter won game 1, Dogzea won this one. I don't know what happened in the other game. I'm looking forward to seeing what adjustments you guys make. And for Dogzea, I'm looking forward to seeing what team you make when you have actual time, because you did pretty dang well when you just slapped a team together, which is very impressive. So, yeah, if you guys have any questions, or if you want me to go over team building, I am happy to do that. I absolutely love team building. And I haven't told you guys any of my thought process while making teams, so if you ever want to hear about that, just hit me up, and I will see you guys later.